Okay, we're on to French knots. So I've got 3 strands of mustard. You could use a mustard, you could use the yellow, whichever one you like. And I'm going to tie a knot in the end, and I will show you my French knot technique. So I'm using a stand, so I've got both hands free, which does make it easier. But we've put the little dots in to guide you as to where the flowers go. So you come up with your needle and then you hold, I'm right-handed, so flip this if you're left-handed, hold the thread taut and then place your needle on top of that thread, and then you're going to wrap round 2 or 3 times. I've gone round twice, keeping the thread taut, pushing needle back into the fabric and pull your thread through, and that should give you a nice little knot. So I'll show you again. Pull your thread tight, put your needle on the top, round 2 or 3 times, depending on how big you want the knot to be. So we're doing the centre of the flowers, and then we'll go and surround them with little white petals. So that's the centre part. I'll show you how I've done the actual flowers. So I'll try and get a bit closer for this one, but you need to come up fairly close to your original knot and just do exactly the same thing. So that you get your French knot fairly close to the middle part. Needle on the top, twist back and back in, keeping it all tight. So then I've got 3 strands of green on my needle, and I'm just going to start around the edge, and this is how you do the shapes where it is just purely filled with split back stitch. You just start around the edge and you just keep going around in ever decreasing circles. So it's very easy. Just as we get closer towards the daisies, we'll just start embroidering around them and filling all of the empty space. So this is just my split back stitch again. I won't show you the whole thing, but you come up with your fabric and then return down the middle of the last stitch, splitting that last stitch. Then we have some more split back stitch, which are these little polka dot circles, and we're just going to do exactly the same thing, but we're going to stitch the circles first, and then in the same way that we edged around the daisies, we're going to edge around the circles. But this stitch works exactly the same way in a little circle as it does going up and down in a line. So you're just returning your needle into the previous stitch the whole time. So I've got 3 strands of black. And you just keep going round from the outside in. So I'm joining up with that the end of the first stitch to complete my circle. And then I will just keep going. The good thing about split back stitches, you can kind of manoeuvre a previous stitch. If it didn't quite go in the position you wanted to, you can just, with your next stitch, just nudge it into the position that you want it to be in. So it's quite forgiving. And then just finish the rest of your black polka dots, and then you're using 3 strands of blue to edge around that pattern as well in the split back stitch. So super easy. Start on the outside, work your way in. So we've already looked at satin stitch on the little checkerboard square, but there are some areas where we're doing a bigger piece of satin stitch. So I'm just going to show you that, and it's the same technique. You're just filling the shape with stitches, and then going to go back and do another run of stitches until we've filled the whole shape with stitches and it looks satin-like. I think this makes it less overwhelming doing it like this. When you're doing a fairly big shape. So all the way down to just tiny stitches at the end. And then I'll go back up. So just keep going until you're all covered. I mean, I could definitely keep going on that and make the stitches lie flat and kind of more horizontal than they are, but take your time and fill up that space. So that covers all the stitches on the pattern, but if you have any questions, let me know and I can clarify anything that isn't clear. So we're now on to how you finish off your hoop at the back. So I'll just do it in reverse motion. So what you've got is a sheet of wadding and a cardboard backing disc, and you cut round the wadding with the backing disc as a template to get your circle, and that circle goes in the back of the hoop underneath your excess fabric. So you're going to trim your excess fabric around the edge of the hoop to about 2 centimeters, and then the fabric goes around on the top, and then you just push your cardboard circle in, and that is your hoop finished. You might get some bumps, you just need to redo it and wiggle things around, but that is how you finish off your hoop. So any questions, please give me a shout and I will clarify and do extra videos as needed. Hold tight for the video that shows you how we're going to use our stick and stitch.